The Ballad of the Hillbilly Millionaire. Come and listen to a story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer who barely kept his family fed. Then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground came a bubbling crude. Oil, that is. Black gold.
Texas tea.
Well, the first thing you know, old Jed is a millionaire. The kinfolk said, "Jed, move away from there." They said that California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly
Hills, that is.
Swimming pools. Movie stars. These are the Beverly Hillbillies. The morning sun began to creep over the horizon of the California hills, painting the sky in shades of pale gold and soft pink. Inside the grand mansion that the Clampett family now called home, the rooster was the first to announce the arrival of daybreak. Pearl sat up, her eyes heavy from a night of restlessness. She looked toward the window and spoke to the bird with a weary sigh, noting that she knew it was daybreak. She asked the rooster if he thought he was crowing at some person who did not appreciate the early hour. She quickly corrected herself, offering an apology to the old fella, explaining that she did not mean to fly off the handle at him like that. She confessed that she did not get 1 week of sleep last night and was feeling quite on edge this morning. She encouraged the rooster to go ahead and crow, acknowledging that it was his job. Granny entered the scene with her usual fire and determination. She greeted Pearl with a sharp morning and immediately demanded to know if Pearl was going to do something about the situation, or if she was not. Pearl assured her that she was going to do something about it. Granny snapped back that it was high time and expressed her hope that Pearl realized it was all her fault. Pearl, trying to keep the peace, agreed that it was her fault. Granny seemed satisfied until Pearl asked one clarifying question. She wanted to know exactly what it was that was all her fault that she was supposed to be doing something about. Granny pointed the finger squarely at Shorty Kellums. She complained that he had been in and out of the house all night, one date right after the other, carrying on like a young tomcat. Pearl tried to defend Shorty, explaining that the man had never been out of the hills before. He had simply come down to Hollywood to have himself a little fling. Granny was not moved by this explanation. She asked if Pearl called it a little fling to drive up to the front door at 4 o'clock in the morning with a young woman sitting out there smooching. Granny claimed she had seen it with her own 2 eyes and was deeply shocked. Pearl questioned how Granny could have seen him, noting that she did not think Granny could see the front from her room. Granny brushed this aside, stating that it had nothing to do with it. She described the sight as the most disgusting and disgraceful thing she had ever seen and claimed she wanted to cover her eyes. Pearl asked why she did not just do that, to which Granny replied that she would have fallen off the roof. She admitted she just happened to be sitting up there on the roof at 4 o'clock in the morning. She told Pearl not to try to change the subject, insisting that somebody had to protect the morals of the young folks in the house. She asked if Pearl wanted the youngsters to see Shorty and his shameful carryings-on. Pearl replied that she did not reckon they did, unless they were sitting up there on the roof with Granny. Outside, the air was still cool as Shorty Kellums prepared to depart. He spoke to a young woman, telling her he was sorry, but he was too tired to drive her home. He told her to go ahead and take the car because he knew she had to get to work today. The girl, Jeannie, thanked Shorty. He replied that she was welcome, calling her Jeannie. She corrected him, stating that her name was Gloria. Shorty seemed confused, guessing that Jeannie must have been his 12 o'clock date. He wondered if perhaps it was Patricia, but then remembered Patricia was the one he took home on the way to pick Gloria up. Gloria reminded him that he had picked her up until 4:30 this morning and expressed that she did not like sharing him with those other girls. Shorty told her not to go to griping. He promised he would not even put her name in the hat tonight. Gloria immediately softened, asking for forgiveness and promising not one more griping. Shorty teased that he would not mind one more, but she insisted she meant to say grabbing instead of griping. She begged Shorty to let her be his first date tonight. Shorty checked his schedule and offered her the time slot from 6:30 to 8:30. Gloria complained that it was so short, to which Shorty replied that he was also short. He asked if she was looking for quality or quantity. Gloria chose quality and thanked him. She told him not to be sensitive about his height, but Shorty told her he was not. He claimed he could have been tall, but he turned it down. Gloria laughed, calling him a riot and telling him she was mad about him. They bid each other farewell, calling each other sweetheart and angel doll. As Gloria left, another girl approached. Shorty greeted her as usual, noting it was a beautiful morning. He said he would have been down sooner, but he was doing his deep breathing exercises. The girl remarked that she heard him panting. Shorty played it off as nothing. She asked if he had a good night of sleep, and he claimed he was full of ginger. She asked if Ginger was the name of his date. Granny appeared, telling Shorty he was not fooling anybody. She accused him of tomcatting around all night and told him to come to the kitchen because Jed had a few words to say to him. Jethro whispered to Jed that Granny had caught Shorty sneaking in and was really giving him the dickens. He asked where they were, and Jethro explained she was dragging him toward the kitchen. Jethro thought she was going to whoop him and suggested Jed go outside. Jethro even offered to cut a switch for her, wondering if she would turn Shorty across her knee. Granny marched Shorty in, telling Jed to give him what for. Jethro excitedly asked if she was going to whoop him. Jed told Jethro to wait outside. Jethro complained that Elle used to watch when he got hooped and felt like he never got to have any fun. Once Jethro was gone, Granny told Shorty to tell Jed where he was all night. Shorty explained that Mr. Drysdale threw a wild Hollywood party at his bank, and all the girls seemed to go crazy for him. They wanted to know what he was doing after the orgy. Jed asked what an orgy was. Shorty described it as fun, involving beautiful girls, music, dancing, and people dropping grapes into your mouth. Granny pushed him to get to the events of last night. Shorty explained that every one of the girls wanted a date with him. Since there were about 8 of them, and he was not as young as he used to be, he only dated 4. He detailed his schedule, taking the first girl from 6 to 9, and the second from 9 to 12. Granny interrupted, remembering she heard him in her kitchen about 9. Shorty admitted he got a mite hungry and snuck a cookie out of the cookie jar. He then took the second girl out until 12. After that, he came back and snuck another cookie. Then he took out the third girl and did not get back until 4. He said she liked to never turn him loose. After sneaking yet another cookie, he took out the fourth girl, whom he described as a great big rascal who liked to hug him to death. They had just gotten home. Granny looked to Jed and asked if he was going to do something about it. Jed said he sure was and called Shorty over. Granny worried Jed might hit him with a skillet, but Jed said he was going to fry him some eggs instead. He argued that the man could not keep going like that on just cookies. Meanwhile, at the bank, Mr. Drysdale was in a foul mood. He told 4 young women to step in and be quick about it. He told them he had found them asleep at their desks and expected disciplinary action to be swift and severe. He told them to see to it, and when asked if he meant a firing squad, he said he meant to fire the whole squad. The girls asked him to hear their side of the story. Drysdale claimed he was in no mood for excuses, guessing they were out all night. The girls admitted it was true, but explained they were entertaining Mr. Kellums. They reminded him that he told them to be nice to Shorty because he had deposited $200 million with the bank. They said they did it for the bank. Drysdale decided to explain the financial facts of life to them. He said that now that the $200 million was safely in his bank, there was no longer any need to be nice to him. He told them that yesterday they were 4 beautiful, alluring seductresses, but today they were 4 unemployed gold diggers, and told them to get out. Miss Hathaway interrupted, asking him to look at the deposit slip. Drysdale looked and saw the amount was $1,180. He shouted, asking what happened to the $200 million. It appeared that Shorty had not deposited his big money yet. Drysdale immediately changed his tune, calling the ladies back and calling them beautiful bonus babies. He promised a bonus to whichever girl got Shorty to deposit his big bundle. He told Miss Hathaway the girls were to have the day off to catch up on their beauty sleep. When asked who would do their work, Drysdale realized he had to ask that himself. Back at the mansion, Jethro found Shorty sneaking around. Shorty explained he was sneaking his $200 out of Granny's root cellar. He was afraid that if she saw him, she would give him the dickens again. Jethro asked if she had whipped him, and Shorty said no, but she was mad enough to. Shorty explained he took it out because it was all he had left after putting the rest in the bank. Jethro asked if these were the big dollar bills Shorty had hidden in his mind for 40 years. Shorty said he did not want to spend them, but he had 6 dates tonight and might need to borrow a couple. Jethro suggested drawing money from the bank, but Shorty was too tired to go down there, fearing the girls would pounce on him like chickens on a grasshopper. Jethro asked for his secret, wanting to know why all the girls were after him. Shorty explained that some people have it and some do not, and he just had too much of it. The phone rang, and it was a girl for Shorty. Shorty told Jethro that they would not give him any rest. It was Gloria. She wanted to bring his car over. Shorty said he did not need it, but she insisted, saying every moment away from him was torture. She told him that when he said her name, it gave her goosebumps all over. Shorty joked to Jed that in her case, that was a lot of goosebumps because she was big. Gloria suggested taking him to Las Vegas, promising wonderful shows, swimming pools, and a cute little wedding chapel. Shorty said they would talk about it when he got there. A couple of other girls from the bank approached, calling Shorty a big sneak and accusing him of wanting to marry a rich woman. One laughed at the thought, saying they would look like Mutt and Jeff. Another girl countered that for $200 million, she would walk down the aisle on her knees. Shorty begged them to leave him alone so he could rest for his big night. He looked at the others and noted that while they had the size, looks, and youth, he had the girl. A group of girls arrived at the pool, calling for their doll baby. Shorty, feeling bushed, asked them to entertain Jethro while he caught a nap. Jethro was eager, but the girls told him to get lost. Shorty tried to sleep, but Granny approached. He called her his favorite girl, but she told him not to touch her, calling him a dirty old man. Mr. Drysdale arrived, and Granny called him Milburn Orgy, blaming him for starting Shorty down the primrose path. Drysdale defended the girls at his bank as sweet young doves, but Granny pointed out that a young dove was currently going south with an old rooster. Drysdale was alarmed when he heard they were taking Shorty to Las Vegas. He told Shorty he did not want to go there because there was gambling. Shorty said that next to women, gambling was his favorite thing. Drysdale warned him he might lose, but Shorty said he was lucky in love and lucky at cards. Drysdale begged him to keep his money in the bank. Shorty promised he would not take his big money to Las Vegas. Drysdale then had a stroke of genius. He promised to bring Las Vegas to the Clampett estate, recreating the city right by the swimming pool. He believed this would keep Shorty from moving his money and get him back in Granny's good graces. Miss Hathaway expressed concern that if the gambling setup was raided, it could be serious. Drysdale called it a calculated risk to land $200 million. She warned it could mean a year in prison, but he told her to stop worrying, saying his attorneys would get her off in 6 months. He also noted that he had not rented the equipment in his own name. Later, Pearl saw the activity at the cement pond and called it disgraceful. She saw machines that she claimed cheated people. She showed a wheelbarrow full of nickels, though she still felt cheated because the machines promised fruit like cherries and oranges, but only gave out nickels. Jethro came by, and Granny told him he could not go to the pool. She described the girls in short skirts and bathing suits as no place for a boy like him. Jed noted that Granny was not exactly discouraging the boy. Granny gave Jethro the chore of counting the nickels in the parlor and then going to the market to buy the fruit she felt she was cheated out of. Jethro lamented that he never got to have any fun. Granny told Jed he had to do something about Shorty, saying he was acting plumb local. She wanted to send him back to the hills. Jed thought Shorty would slow down soon, but Granny, acting as a doctor, said the human body can only take so much. She then tried to head to the pool herself, but Jed stopped her. At the poolside, the gambling was in full swing. Shorty asked for the dice, but realized he left his money in the house. Drysdale offered him $20, saying it was nothing between a banker and his biggest depositor. Shorty joked that he was only 5 feet 3 inches tall. He tossed the dice, calling for Lady Luck to treat him nice. He lost the roll, but the girls told him that in this game, losing paid double. Jethro returned from the market with the fruit. He tried to join a girl by the pool, mentioning he was a good swimmer and could stay underwater for 2 minutes. She told him to try, for 5. He approached another girl, offering to show her his swan dive, but she said she would only watch if it flew backwards. Shorty eventually admitted to Jed that he was feeling the pace. Jed suggested he start tapering off and offered to take some of the girls off his hands. Shorty agreed, but said he would not need Jed's help for about 6 months. Miss Hathaway and the girls were still trying to figure out where Shorty kept his big money. Jethro told them he kept it in the icebox in a mason jar. Drysdale was stunned to hear about $200 million in a jar. Jethro corrected him, saying it was $200. Drysdale was horrified. Jethro explained it was the money Shorty had hidden for 40 years. The girls asked Shorty to go for a swim. Shorty said he needed a rest spell. He told them he had one overpowering weakness. They guessed it was gambling or drinking or being unable to be true to a wife. Shorty said it was none of those. Drysdale pulled the girls aside and told them the party was over because the man only had $200, not $200 million. He told them to get back to the bank. Shorty tried to tell the girls his weakness was checkers, but they were already leaving. Shorty told Jed that if he ever decided to marry a city woman, he should keep a secret. He said they do not mind drinking, gambling, or even cheating, but they will never forgive a man for playing checkers. Pearl looked on and declared that she was an angel.